Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For this session of Resensi, I would like to present a book entitled Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his life based on the earlier sources. This book is written by Martin Lings, who later changed his name when he became a Muslim to Abu Bakar Siraj al-Din. It was published jointly by a Foundation of Traditional Studies, Petaling Jaya, and A.S. Nordin, Kuala Lumpur, and printed in KL by Academy Art and Printing. Now, this writer was a British guy, and he began his career teaching English language and literature in Cairo University. Then he returned to England, continued his studies in Oxford University in Arabic studies, and he mastered the language as well as the religion. And from then on, he was involved in everything about Islam. Now, this book is based on Arabic sources of 8th and 9th centuries, of which some important passages are translated here for the first time. So this is how important this book is. Martin Ling, in writing this book, has an unusual gift for narrative. His language was simple, and one can understand it without referring to other sources. Now, this book started from the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and then he in his mind opened up Mecca or Becca, and then the city, the town of Mecca was developed by Quraysh tribe until it became very famous. Then Martin Link touched on the birth of Muhammad, and then traced his growing years, and then described fully how the first wahyu came down to Muhammad when he was at Gua Hira. This, I'm sure everybody knows the stories. But he faced a lot of difficulties and brutal treatment from the Quraysh until he and his followers had to move to Madinah in what we call the famous Hijrah. Now, he was very well received by the local people in Madinah. That was the Khazraj and Aus. Khazraj and Aus actually were not on good terms. Because of that, the Jews who were staying also in Medina took advantage and became dominant in most business activities there. So Muhammad, when he came, the first thing he did was to unite both Khazraj and Aus, and then term them as Ansar. And all the Muslims that moved from Mecca were termed Muhajirin. So the next step was for Muhammad to make sure the Ansar receive the Muhajirin in good spirit under the policy of Islam, the Brotherhood of Islam. When the Muslims became united, they took control of Medina, and one by one, Muhammad drove away all the Jews from Medina. It was not easy. There were battles and wars between Muhammad and these Jews. Now, this book traced all the wars and battles that Muhammad faced. Also, the writer touched on the household of Muhammad, the young household of Muhammad and Khadijah when they were in Mecca, and later on when Muhammad was in Medina. There was a special chapter on all the wives of the Prophet. And to me, the important thing about this book is it is complete. I haven't seen any other book in Malay or in Bahasa Melayu that covers all aspects. Now, of course, there are ustaz and who talk about the sejarah or the history of Islam, but it was not in a form of book like this, you know. So when I got this book, to me it's a complete story of the Prophet, right from the beginning until uh, the Prophet died. All along, the book also touched on the contributions of the Sahaba, especially the four important ones. Now, beside them, there were also Sahaba who played big roles, especially uh, later on, who became strong supporters of the four Sahaba when they became Khalifa. Now, I want to touch another event. To me, after the Hijrah, the next important one was Hudaybiyah. Maybe not many pay attention to this, but to me, Hudaybiyah was also a good, or was also an important event in the fight of in the life of Muhammad, because here um, he was. It proves to us that he was very what do you call that? He was very cool and calculative, and when the Quraysh stopped them from going to perform Umrah that year, he willingly signed an agreement with the Quraysh and returned to Madinah, much to the chagrin of most of the four Sahaba. But to Muhammad, this is the will of Allah. And of course, he was right. You know, the following year, they all went again to Mecca, and subsequently after that, they occupied Mecca. Uh, that was around 3 years later. Now, to me, there is a void in the Malay literature uh, on this book, on this title. So I took the initiative to translate this book for my own use, you know. And I have done the first copy here, which had still got a number of mistakes. But obviously, this is an encouragement to me. Then I will go on and improve it and print the right copy maybe in 2 or 3 months' time. In conclusion, I must say Martin Lings has done a very good job to produce this book, and there is nothing much more to cover, except that if one wants to fill up the void, then they have to write as good as this in Bahasa Melayu. Thank you very much.